Kyle Rittenhouse found not guilty on all charges in Kenosha shootings.Rittenhouse, wearing a dark jacket with a burgundy tie and shirt, stood behind the defense table as each not guilty verdict was read. He tried to hold back tears, then sobbed and appeared to collapse forward on the table, where he was held by one of his lawyers. Rittenhouse's mother gasped after the final verdict was read, her head falling into her hands. The panel of 5 men and 7 women deliberated more than 25 hours over the past 4 days in a closely watched case that polarized an already divided nation. The verdict cannot be appealed. Jurors had asked the court a handful of questions, including requests Wednesday to re-watch much of the video evidence of the shootings. In the end, the panel agreed with the defendant's testimony that he feared for his life and acted in self-defense. Since the shootings on August 25, 2020, the case pitted Americans who saw Rittenhouse as an armed teen vigilante against those who viewed him as a citizen taking up arms to protect businesses from looters and rioters. The judge praised the jury, saying he couldn't have asked for a better jury. After the verdict was announced, lead prosecutor Thomas Binger told the court, "The jury has represented our community in this trial and has spoken."
The family of one of the victims, Anthony Hubert, said in a statement, "There is no accountability for the person who murdered our son." On a cold, sunny afternoon, crowds gathered outside the courthouse after the verdict. "We want the nation to know the nation that you live in now isn't the United States that we used to live in," said Justin Blake, uncle of Jacob Blake, whose shooting by police last summer sparked the protests where Rittenhouse showed up with his gun. "I didn't do anything wrong. I defended myself," he testified. Rittenhouse was charged with 5 felonies: first-degree intentional homicide, first-degree reckless homicide, attempted first-degree intentional homicide, and 2 counts of first-degree recklessly endangering safety. Jurors are also able to consider lesser offenses for 2 of the 5 counts. If convicted on the most serious charge, Rittenhouse faced a mandatory sentence of life in prison. Judge Bruce Schroeder dismissed a misdemeanor weapons possession charge in a non-criminal curfew violation prior to deliberations. The charges stem from the chaotic unrest last year in the wake of the Kenosha police shooting of Jacob Blake, a 29-year-old black man. After instances of rioting and fiery destruction, Rittenhouse, 17 at the time, took a medical kit and an AR-15 style rifle and joined up with a group of other armed people in Kenosha on August 25. What happened in the trial? Prosecutors called 22 witnesses over the course of 6 days. American Samoa. They sought to show Rittenhouse acted recklessly that night and provoked Rosenbaum by pointing the rifle at him, setting off the ensuing series of events. "That is what provokes this entire incident," Binger said in closing arguments. "When the defendant provokes this incident, he loses the right to self-defense. You cannot claim self-defense against a danger you create." The prosecution portrayed the 3 other people who confronted the teen as heroes trying to stop what they believed to be an active shooting. Binger also questioned the teenager's decision to take a gun into the city in the first place, calling him a chaos tourist. However, on the stand, Rittenhouse testified he acted in self-defense when he shot 4 times at Rosenbaum, who he said had threatened him earlier, chased him, thrown a bag at him and lunged for his gun. Rittenhouse also referred to the 3 other people he shot at as part of a mob chasing him. He became emotional and broke down into tears during his testimony as he began to recount the initial shooting, leading to a break in the case. In closing arguments, defense attorney Mark Richards said Rittenhouse feared for his life when he opened fire. "Every person who was shot was attacking Kyle. One with a skateboard, one with his hands, and one with his feet, one with a gun," Richards said. "Hands and feet can cause great bodily harm." The prosecution faced an uphill challenge in the case because Wisconsin law requires the state to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Rittenhouse did not act in self-defense. But there are limits to a self-defense claim. The defendant may intentionally use force which is intended or likely to cause death or great bodily harm only if the defendant reasonably believed that the force used was necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm to himself, the jury instructions explain.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe